It was Halloween night, and my friends and I had been planning a party for weeks. We decked out my house with the usual decorations: fake cobwebs, skeletons, and spooky lights. By the time guests started showing up, the place was packed. Everyone came in great costumes, from vampires to superheroes, and the atmosphere was just what we'd hoped for: fun and lively. Around 9 p.m., I noticed someone standing near the back of the room, wearing a plain white mask. It was simple, with no features, just a blank face. He stood there quietly, not talking to anyone. At first, I thought he was just another guest. After all, it was Halloween. But as the night went on, I realized something was off. While everyone else mingled and danced, this guy just stood there, watching. I mentioned it to my friend Jenna, thinking maybe she knew who he was, but she looked just as confused as I felt. "I thought he was with you," she said. That's when the uneasiness kicked in. No one seemed to know who this guy was. I glanced over at him again. He hadn't moved an inch. It was like he was just observing us. As the night wore on, people began to leave, but the guy in the mask stayed put. It was almost midnight, and only a handful of people remained. We asked around again, trying to figure out who had brought him, but nobody claimed him. I caught myself staring at him, feeling a chill run down my spine. What kind of person just shows up to a party and stands in the corner all night without saying a word? My friend Kyle, who had a bit too much to drink, decided to confront him. "Hey man, who are you with?" Kyle asked, walking up to him. The guy didn't respond. He just stared through the eye holes of the mask. Kyle waved a hand in front of his face, trying to get a reaction, but there was nothing. Just that blank mask and an unnerving silence. I was starting to freak out. Something about this guy didn't feel right. Jenna and I exchanged nervous glances. "We need to get him out of here," I whispered. Kyle, getting frustrated, said louder, "Okay, man, the party's over. You need to leave." For the first time that night, the guy moved. Slowly, he tilted his head, like he was considering us. Then, without a word, he turned and walked toward the door. I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. I locked the door after him, relieved that he was finally gone. We all sat down, trying to shake off the weird vibe. The party had officially died, and we were ready to call it a night. But just a few minutes later, I heard a faint tapping sound. My heart stopped. It was coming from the window. Jenna's face went pale, and Kyle got up to look. "Oh, hell no," Kyle muttered, backing away from the window. What is it?" I asked, feeling a surge of panic. "He's back. He's standing outside," Kyle said. I hurried over and peeked through the blinds. Sure enough, the man in the white mask was standing in the yard, just staring at the house. That's when I grabbed my phone and called the police. I explained that someone had been at the party and was now lurking outside. The operator told us to stay inside and that officers were on their way. We watched him from the window, every second feeling like an eternity. He didn't move, didn't make any aggressive motions, he just stood there. When the police arrived, the man was gone. They searched the area but found no trace of him. They told us it was probably just a prank, someone trying to scare us because of Halloween. But deep down, I didn't believe that. The way he had just stood there for hours watching felt far too calculated. The next morning, Jenna called me with some disturbing news. 2 houses down from mine, there had been a break-in late last night. The homeowners had been tied up, and their valuables were stolen. But what really sent a chill down my spine was the description of the intruder. The victims said he was wearing a plain white mask. I felt sick. That guy had been at my house for hours, silently watching us. If we hadn't asked him to leave, who knows what might have happened. I still can't shake the feeling that he was there for something far more sinister than a party. It's been a few years since that night, and I haven't thrown another Halloween party since.